Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning. I don't know where you are joining us from. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar organized by the University of Portsmouth and the CP community. We're supposed to be starting at exactly 3 p.m. UK time, which is what it is now, but I wanted to crave your indulgence for us to give another extra 5 minutes for other people that might be joining in. So we will please kick off at exactly 5 minutes past 3 UK time. Thank you.
Okay then. Hello everyone. Welcome to the session. For some reason, I'm actually expecting more people to join. I don't know what the issue is because it's the number of messages I get. Anyway, welcome to the session, everybody. So this is an info session on how to apply for a degree at the University of Portsmouth. So this is in partnership with the University of Portsmouth. And taking the session today is going to be Miss Chinelo. She's the Global Recruitment Officer for West Africa. So basically, she handles like application inquiries and admission processing for applicants from Nigeria, Ghana, Benin Republic, all of that region in West Africa. So thank you so much for joining. Ms. Chinelo, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Chidera. Good evening again, everyone. Like Chidera said, I work exclusively for the University of Portsmouth, and part of my job description is assisting students who are thinking of studying in the UK, particularly at the University of Portsmouth, with their entire application process. So from the submission of your application to your meeting the conditions on the offer, and progressing to the university, applying through the student Tier 4 visa rules. So I will not take any more of your time, but before I start, I'd like to use this medium to congratulate Chidera again for her award at the British Council. I happen to be the person who took the award on her behalf. So all the pictures you see that was supposed to be hers or mine, we at the university are really proud of our achievements. And I was just thinking a few days ago that this was Chidera 3 years ago, applying to the university and trying to get an offer, being made an offer, and then 3 years down the line, she's global. So from me and the rest of the team at the University of Portsmouth, particularly the global team, we are very, very happy at the progress you have made, and we say a warm congratulations to you again. Okay, so let's start. So this is a webinar for students who are looking to apply to the University of Portsmouth. And the presentation, in a summary, is supposed to tell you how the process goes, some of the information you need to have, and particularly just to allay whatever concerns and fears you have about applying to a UK university, the University of Portsmouth in this case. There is the option, is also the opportunity to ask your questions. So please feel free to put in your questions at the chat session. I would aim to answer those questions at the completion of this presentation. Okay, so let's start. So where is the University of Portsmouth located? I get asked that a lot. We're 70 miles from London. We are a city center campus. I would explain that in a minute. There is a lot of, there are great transportation links to the UK and Europe from the University of Portsmouth because of the fact that we're a seafront location city. So all of what you see on the screen is the city of Portsmouth in a nutshell. We are characterized, we're known by the tall pointy building you see there, which is called the Spinnaker Tower. It's a lovely location, and I'm not just saying because I work for the university, it is actually a beautiful city. I particularly like the fact that the university is within the heart of the city of Portsmouth. And that is advantageous for international students because it helps you to acclimatize, get into the mix, get into the grind of the city of Portsmouth, settle in nicely because the university is in the heart of the city of Portsmouth. So pockets of buildings you see around are some of the faculty buildings and the schools within the university. And everything is within walking distance. Fun fact, the UK is all about walking and trekking. So it's nice to, just know that everything, your campus, your school, your accommodation, and virtually everywhere is within walking distance in the University of Portsmouth. I find that there are some universities in the UK that have got their campuses outside of the city where the university is domiciled. And while that might be a good thing in terms of, I don't know, maybe the decision was not to get distracted so you can focus on your schoolwork, I find that it is a lot better for students to have, especially international students, to have the university they're studying in within the city where the university is, so that they can, get a feel of the university, hit the ground running, get into the system and settle in quite quickly and get onto the business of the day, which is actually studying and eventually working at the end of the day. So that's the University of Portsmouth. That's the city of Portsmouth that you're looking at on the screen. Sorry, starting to. Oh, it's frozen. 1 minute, trying to get to the next. Well, the next slide is talking about why we're special. So we're a highly ranked university in terms of our ranking. We are 5-star, and this is an award that was given to us by the UK government. Now, why that particular award is close to my heart is because it's not an award that is given by the academicians within the UK. It's by the British government based on the teaching style. So it's called the Teaching Excellence Framework, and we have consistently, since the inception of the award, achieved gold. We're also in the top 30 for student satisfaction and the top 150 for young universities across the globe. And in 2017, we were ranked the #1 in the UK for boosting graduate salaries. So these are awards that will help you think in the direction of actually pursuing a degree in Portsmouth when you need to make that decision. Now, within the University of Portsmouth, we've got 5 faculties, and these are where all of the courses, the programs are resided. And so we've got the Faculty of Business and Law, we've got the Faculty of Creative and Cultural Industries, we've got the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, and then there is a Science and Health, and then there is the Faculty of Technology. So all of the courses we offer within the University of Portsmouth are all found within these faculties. Now, within each of these faculties are various schools. So within some faculties, you could have 6 different schools covering different courses within that faculty. Altogether, they make over 400 degree programs, both undergrad and postgrad. And we've got 2 intakes in the year, with September being our biggest intake, because that's when we are open to accepting international students on all of the courses available within the university that are open to international students. We also have the February intake, which has a decent number of courses, but not as much as the September one. So the September intake is our hugest intake. And then we've got the February for students who were not able to make the September one. And then in thinking of applying to the university, we've got the foundation, and then we've got the first year, we've got the pre-master's pathway that is being handled by the International College Portsmouth. So the International College Portsmouth is a partner college, pathway college within the University of Portsmouth. Now, I'm assuming that the majority of the people in attendance to this webinar are seeking to do a postgraduate study. But in case you are thinking of an undergraduate for yourself or for someone you know, I will just pass this information. So if the student has just completed their secondary school, so they've done their final year senior secondary exams. In Nigeria, it's called the WAEC, in Ghana, it's called the WASI, and KCPC in Kenya, and the IGCSE and GC in Cameroon. If you are thinking of coming to the University of Portsmouth for an undergraduate degree program, we will be unable to accept you until year 1. You will have to do our foundation. Now, the foundation usually takes place in January. So you get into the foundation in January, and then by the end of August, you're done with the foundation just in time to get into year 1 in September. Now, if, for example, you completed your secondary school higher certificate examination and went ahead to write the A-levels, and your A-level results were great, fantastic, we'll be happy to accept you straight into year 1 on that basis. I'm also aware that in certain countries within West Africa, there are some specialized foundation colleges. And these foundation colleges are in partnership with UK colleges. So for example, in Nigeria, we've got the Bridge House College that does the Brook House College Foundation. We've got the Regent College that does the St. Andrews Foundation. We've got the Oxbridge that's got the NC UK Foundation. So if you have attended any of these foundation colleges, and quite a number of them in other parts of West Africa, and you have gone ahead to undergo the training, written the exams, and passed your foundation study, with the exams being conducted by these colleges, these partner colleges, we're happy on that basis to accept you onto year one. So these are the options available for you to come straight into year one at the University of Portsmouth. And then there was also the case of students who, now this is for postgrad, who are thinking of coming to study a postgraduate course, but have not met the minimum entry requirement. We have the pre-master's route. So the pre-master's usually takes place 3 times a year, runs for about 3 to 4 months, costs a separate fee from the postgraduate tuition fee itself. But what the pre-master's route does is, at the completion of the pre-master's study, we're happy to then accept you onto the master's program. And the pre-master's route, like I said before, only applies to candidates who have applied to the university for a specific course, but unfortunately have not met the minimum entry requirement. So for our foundation route and our pre-master's route, we've got the International College Portsmouth that takes care of these particular programs. I hope I haven't confused you. Okay, so for the entry requirements, so if you're coming in to the International Foundation year, we would need to have a look at your WAEC results or your high school results, and you should have got at least 5 credit passes. And then if you are coming into the International year one, that's when you would have done your foundation elsewhere in these partner colleges I talked about, or you have done your A-levels and you have achieved these grades. We'll be happy to accept you onto year one. For the postgraduate, like I said before, a large percentage of the courses we offer within the university have a minimum requirement of a second-class honors. Now, when you see the second-class honors, we mean the second-class lower, because if it was upper, we would have stated it explicitly on the website. So if you have obtained a second-class lower, we're happy to accept you for most of our courses, although within some certain courses, within certain schools in the faculties, they expect you to have obtained the second-class upper. For example, within the Faculty of Technology, in the School of Computing, a majority of the courses within that school would require you to have obtained the second-class upper. And in events that you do not have a second-class upper, you might then need to do the pre-masters, or if you have got relevant work experience and you are able to explicitly state that in your CV, enough for the admissions tutor to comprehend the CV enough to see that you do have this relevant work experience, they can actually make you an offer on that basis. Sometime during the course of this presentation, I'm also going to talk about your personal statement. That also plays a very key role on whether you're accepted onto a course or otherwise. So in a summary, for most of our postgraduate courses, we're happy to accept you onto these courses with a minimum of a second-class honors. And in some very rare cases, we require you to have obtained a second-class upper degree. Yeah, so this is an important part of your application process. Now, I get students every now and again asking if they have to write the IELTS test, the English language test. And my blanket answer to that is no, if you have obtained a C grade or higher at the WAEC, the WASI, the IGCSE, or any of your high school certificate examinations. If you have obtained a C grade in English, a grade D or above when you're doing your A-levels, we will be happy to waive the English language requirement. Now, my advice is when you are applying for your course and you are submitting your application online and uploading your supporting documents, please also upload your results if you have obtained the C grade. Now, in event that you have written the IELTS test and you have done well at the test, please feel free to upload your IELTS test in the condition that you actually took a close look at not just your overall IELTS score, but on the individual components. And so you will find that on the website, for certain courses, they would expect you to have obtained a general score, a total score of 6.0 with a minimum of 5.5 on all of the components. Now, if you know that you have not obtained a 5.5 in all of the components, even if you have obtained a 7.0 in some, but you have not obtained a minimum of 5.5 across all the components, please do not upload your IELTS test when you are submitting your application if you have got a C grade or higher at the English language of either the WAEC, the NECO, the IGCSE, or the GCE. And now let me explain to you the reason why. So you go ahead and upload your IELTS test. You have not obtained the minimum of a 5.5. The admissions tutor have a look at your IELTS score and see that although you had the overall score, your components were not a minimum of 5.5. They would require you, they will then recommend that you write another IELTS score. And then you come back to me and say, but I've got a C grade in English. In submitting that result, we will not accept it. And the reason being that your IELTS score was higher. I mean, when I say higher, it's newer than your WAEC result. And so the admissions team have been trained to take the newer results. So if they have taken your IELTS score and it was not, you did not have the minimum requirement, you will then have to write another IELTS test, whether you have obtained a C grade or higher in English. So it's important that you have a look on the web page for the course you have chosen to determine what the IELTS score is and compare it with your IELTS result. If it matches, then it's super. You go ahead and upload it. If it is not, please do not submit it if you have got a C grade or higher in English. Now, if, for example, you've made the mistake to do that and they have come back to you to say, we're not able to accept it. With COVID happening, the university is now flexible to provide you with a free Duolingo English test voucher. Now, the Duolingo test mimics the IELTS test. So we will provide you with a free voucher to write that test. And when you have successfully written the test and we have had a look at your result, we will then conduct something like an informal interview to ask you basic questions to just determine your communication skills. And then on the basis of successfully completing that, we will then remove the English language requirement. So it can be a bit of a challenge if you actually did have a C grade in WAEC. You'll now be wondering why you have to go through all that trouble when it could have just been prevented in the first instance. So it's important that you submit IELTS results if your grades are wonderful and they meet the English language requirement. Otherwise, please just submit your WAEC, WASI, English language exam results, and then provide the admissions team when they request for a result checker or scratch card details to verify and authenticate the result. And then they would happily remove the English language condition. So I hope I've explained the English language requirement. And then, yeah, one more thing. Once we have removed that condition and is out of your conditional offer letter and your offer letter has been updated to reflect that this condition has been met, please do not concern yourself about having to write the exam again because you think it's a requirement for your visa application. It is not. Once the university says we have removed this condition and they have stated it explicitly on your offer letter and eventually on your CAS, the United Kingdom Visa Immigration Service, which is the team in charge of visa applications, will honor what the university has said. So once that condition has been taken out by the university, you don't need to go ahead to write any IELTS test for the purpose of a visa application. It will just be a waste of your time and your funds. So the documents you will need to provide us with when you are submitting your application. For undergraduates, it's a bit straightforward. We need a personal statement or a statement of purpose. We will need your high school certificate or your A-level results. We will need one academic referee or a reference letter from the academic. And then the passport, the international passport data page. So all of these documents is what they will then have a look at and then make you an offer on that basis. For the postgraduate, however, we will need you to provide us with a personal statement, with a proof of your degree and grades, so your transcripts and your degree certificate. It's important that I state here that the admissions team for the majority of most of the courses at the University of Portsmouth cannot make you an offer without your transcripts. And so if you are thinking of applying and you do not have your transcript, I would implore you not to bother with the application because they will not be able to treat it until they have had a look at your transcripts. They are huge on that particular document because they need to see what courses you studied at the university, what grades you achieved. It's on that basis that they can then make an informed decision on your application. They are, however, able to make a decision without your degree certificate if they are not available. So if you've got what they call, I think they call it a statement of results. Yes, so they're happy to make a decision on your application with your transcripts and your statement of results if your degree certificate is not available. Because I know that for some Nigerian universities, they're not available until after 3 or 5 years after you've graduated. They would also need you to provide us with 2 references or details of 2 referees. Now, if you have graduated 5 years or under, 1 out of these 2 references must be academic. If, however, you graduated 5 years ago or more, we understand that it might be difficult to get an academic reference. So we'll be happy to take 2 professional references. So those will come from your place of work, or if you're a member of a society or an organization, they're happy to write a reference on your behalf. We're happy to accept those too. But those references, whether they're academic or they're professional, should be stamped, dated, and signed, and if possible, on a letter-headed paper. And then we would also need to have a look at your CV. Now, this CV is an important part of a postgraduate application if you have not met the minimum entry requirements, but you have work experience. So, for example, I had an applicant who had obtained a 3rd class. He studied computer science and he graduated with a 3rd class, but he's been working for a good number of years in an IT organization, and he's taken a lot of projects and roles, and he was able to explicitly put that on his CV. Now, typically with the course he wanted to apply for, he needed to have achieved a minimum of a 2nd class honors, but in this case, he's got the 3rd. He was, however, made an offer for that course because of his CV, because on his CV, he was able to state the relevant work experience he had had that was closely related to what he was hoping to study. He was also able to write a personal statement enough for the admissions tutor to understand what was going on in his head in terms of why he wanted to study for that particular course. And so a personal statement, your credentials, your CV play a huge role on the decision-making on your postgraduate application. Lastly, we would also need you to provide us with your passport, the data page of your international passport. Now, this document is not absolutely necessary at the time of your submitting the application. So it's not important that you have it immediately you want to apply, because I know that some students are on the verge of renewing their passports or trying to apply for a renewal of their passports. So all of these we understand. And if you don't have your passport data page handy, we can actually make a decision on your application. Although when we do make you an offer, it will be a condition on your offer letter. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit more on a personal statement, and I'll tell you why. Students do not think it is important that they should pay a lot of put in a lot of effort in writing a personal statement. Now, I'm here to tell you that you should. I find on the course of this job, and I've been on it for a good number of years, and I'm ashamed to say this, that undergraduate students actually do a better job of writing a personal statement than postgraduate students. And I'll tell you why. Now, for students who are applying for year 1, they have undergone a foundation school in any of these foundation colleges. I find that teaching them to write a personal statement is actually a module on their course program. And so they pay a lot of attention on how they should write their personal statement. And a good reason why they do that is because for undergraduate applications, usually they apply through a process called the UCAS. So that's the Universities and Colleges Admission Service. It mimics what we call in Nigeria the JAMB or the UTME, where you have the liberty of choosing 5 universities of choice. So you've got your first choice, second choice, third choice. With the UCAS, you have the luxury of picking 5 universities. Of course, you have your favorites, but you will have the opportunity to pick 5 universities. Now, what these students do is they look at these 5 universities and pick courses relating to what they want to study. They do not go writing personal statements for each of these universities. They write one general personal statement, because this personal statement will be submitted with the rest of their documents as one application across these 5 universities. And so they teach them how to write a personal statement that will be impressive to each of these universities. And that's why they do a lot of work on training these students to write them. And they do a good job of writing these personal statements. Now, that's not the case with postgraduate students. So we just put things together and call it a personal statement. Now, it's important that you take your time to write a personal statement, because like I always talk to students when I go to fairs and I'm talking to them face to face, and it's an interesting part of my job. I talk to a student and I can tell that they're really interested in running this course. However, I do not work in the admissions team. I just work in recruitment. And so the admissions tutor or the admissions team do not get a chance to speak with you face to face. They make a decision on your application based on the documents you put in front of them. And those documents include your credentials and your personal statement and your CV. So please take your time to write a personal statement. It doesn't have to be anything long-winded, just 400 to 500 words. Tell us what excites you about the course. Stay focused on that. Don't say too much, just enough for them to understand why you want to run that particular course. If you've got evidence in terms of work experience, or you have transferable skills that are relevant to what you want to study, go ahead and include that in your personal statement. Structure your statement with a good opening paragraph, with the middle paragraph giving evidence to back up what you have said at the opening, and then a closing paragraph that just tells us something great about you. So for example, I've got a student who studied English at her undergraduate, but over the years, she's worked as, we don't call them social workers, but she's done something in healthcare and social care and mental care, and was looking to do a course in social work. Now, with her first degree of English, there is really no correlation between that and what she wants to study at the postgraduate. But because she's got that experience and she put that clearly in a personal statement, highlighting her interests and her passion for this field, and showing in her CV that she's done a bit of work in that regard, the admissions tutor was happy to accept her onto the course. So please pay attention in writing a personal statement. Pay closer attention in writing a CV if it's going to make or mar your application. And don't forget to include your transcript and all the other supporting documents. Above all, in writing your personal statement, please be authentic. I usually refer students to Google how a personal statement is done. But in telling them to do that, all I'm saying is have a look and see how personal statements are written. I'm not asking you to copy and paste someone else's personal statement. It's called a personal statement because it's supposed to be personal to you. So please be authentic when writing your personal statement in the course of applying for your program. Now, with the International College Portsmouth, I've talked about that before. They are a college that takes care of our foundation and our pre-master's route. It's important that I state here that when you are accepted onto the foundation program for undergraduate students, you are issued a single visa for the entire duration of your study. So that will include your foundation and the entirety of your undergraduate study at the university. So it's one single visa that covers everything. So it's not a case of you doing foundation, completing it, and then having to reapply again to get in. No, once you have gotten, as long as you focus on your studies, you get good grades enough to progress onto year one, is a seamless progression. The same also applies to the pre-masters. So you get a visa that covers both the pre-masters and the master's program. Like I said before, they've got 3 intakes in the year: September, January, and June, with January being the key intake for foundation, and September, January, and June being the intakes available for the pre-masters. They are centrally located on campus, so you're already a University of Portsmouth student. It's just that you're doing your pre-masters first before getting into the main course itself. They've been in inception since 2009, and we've got over 400 students who have successfully progressed at different levels to the University of Portsmouth. They've got a website linked to the University of Portsmouth, and it's just found below. So how to apply? So students ask me, oh, I'm interested in studying at the University of Portsmouth. How do I proceed to apply? It's very straightforward. The key thing is to visit the university's website and then determine what course you want to study. It's important too that I state that sometimes when you want to study a particular course, in looking out for that course title, be open to checking, carefully as to whether that course actually exists, but with a different name. So I get students, for example, asking if we offer artificial intelligence as a course at the MSc at the University of Portsmouth. And the answer to that is no. However, we do have a course called the Cybersecurity and Forensic Information Technology that has got artificial intelligence as a few modules inside the course. And so if you are looking for artificial intelligence, for example, on the website, you're not going to find it as a course. But if you're open and you're searching through the School of Computing, looking at each of the courses, you will find that artificial intelligence is embedded into a few modules inside our course of cybersecurity and forensic information technology. So when you are thinking of applying, please make the website your friend. Go through the website, check out the courses, check out the modules, check out the fees. All of those information are on the website. Of course, I'm on ground to assist you if you are getting a bit confused, but ultimately I will still check out the details you're asking from me from the website. So the website is the best place to go. You can apply directly at the university. But in this case, because you are members of the CP community, with Chidera being an alumnus, there is what we call the International Alumnus Referral Award. Now, what that does is at the point where you're applying, there is a part where it says, are you applying by yourself or through an agent or through an alumnus? In this case, you will click that you're applying through an alumnus. What that does is that Chidera's details are included in your application. There's a form you actually complete with your details and all. And this application comes straight to our office and is dealt with fairly quickly because of the form, the International Alumni Referral Award that you have completed. Now, in a case, if you have actually applied and forgot to upload the referral award, that's not a problem at all. You can always get back to me, having completed the form, including your student ID, which is your seven-digit student ID number, and I'll be happy to upload the referral award onto your application. There is also the option of applying through UCAS, but that applies mostly to undergraduate students because of the flexibility that comes with applying to more than one university. Within the University of Portsmouth, most of our postgraduate applications are done directly, so you don't have to go through UCAS to get that done. But for some courses like the social work, some students prefer to apply through UCAS so that they can apply to more than one university. But there's always the option of just applying directly via the web link on the course webpage on the website of the University of Portsmouth. My details are just here, so that's my email in case you need to ask me questions or send me an email to determine the progress of your application. Now, it's important that you know that when you do submit your application, please expect an update from the admissions team between 20 to 30 working days. So don't be anxious if you haven't heard back from them in a few days, 1 week, 2 weeks. You can officially start to panic, which is not necessary at all, if you haven't heard from them. In this case, just send me an email or send me a WhatsApp message, including your student ID number. I could then go in and check and see where we are with your application. If there is a pending document or there is just something the admissions team require of you or some updates on your application, I'll be happy to provide you with that. Yes, so students ask me, and it most of the time is postgraduate students, if they can work during their study. The answer to that is yes. But in saying that, it's important that you know that the main reason why I want to assume that you are progressing to study in the University of Portsmouth is because you want to actually gain knowledge, you want to get a degree. I say that because although you are eligible to work for 20 hours a week, you have to have a clear plan as to how you intend to fund your studies. Because with a 20-hour-a-week work time, the funds you get will not be enough to take care of yourself and pay your tuition fees. So it's important that when you are thinking of applying to the University of Portsmouth for a program, you have actually done your homework and made adequate plans on how you intend to pay your way through your studies, because it can be a bit frustrating if you haven't done any of those and you come in thinking that with the work that you're doing, you're going to be able to sort yourself out. Now, the best way I explain this is the current minimum hourly rate. So for most postgraduate students who are over 23 years, for ease of calculation, let's just say that what you're making an hour is £10. Now you work for 20 hours a week, which is not always the case every week. But let's assume that is the case. So that's £200. Over the course of a month, that's £800, which is rarely always the case back to back every month. Now with £800, it's never enough for you to sort out your tuition fees that runs into thousands. So you need to have a plan as to how you intend to pay your way through school. The funds you are making when you're working is essentially just for your living expenses. So you need to give yourself a treat or buy groceries and stuff, and also to have a bit of a work experience whilst you're studying. It's not enough for you to sort yourself in terms of your paying your fees. So please have a plan as to how you intend to sort your tuition fees before you arrive school. There are lots of part-time work available to students. There are hundreds of bars, shops, and restaurants, and on Commercial Road and Gunwharf Keys. You get the option to work in all sorts of places: hospitality, customer service, during the course of the 20 hours a week option. Now that 20 hours a week will extend to as much as 35 hours a week when you're on holiday during the holiday, but during term time is restricted to 20 hours a week. All right. Now, before I go into working after you graduate, I get some students who also want to know, because when you look at the university's website and you pick a particular course, you find that the tuition fees for part-time students is relatively cheaper than if you opted for the full-time option. So it's important for me to state here that although the part-time study is available to international students, there are lots of restrictions associated with it. And part of those restrictions is that as a part-time international student, you cannot bring dependents over and you cannot work whilst you're studying. So overall, it might look like I'm opting for the part-time because it's looking like the tuition fees are cheaper. They look cheaper on the website, but at the end of the day, they don't work favorably for international students. It's advisable that international students opt for the full-time option for the duration of their course, which is for 1 year, so that they can enjoy the flexibilities that come with the full-time, which would include working whilst you're studying and being able to bring dependents over if that's part of what you are hoping to do. Now, there is also the option of working after you graduate, and this is all thanks to the post-study work route. So within the university, there is a team called the Careers and Employability Team. They are a team that are domiciled in the University of Portsmouth, and they help students with jobs, part-time jobs, full-time jobs when they graduate. Now, it's important I state here that it is not automatic. So please don't expect that this employability team will be happy waiting to hand you a job when you're done. You still have to do the work. They help you with how to write a CV, a cover letter, give you guidance on how to conduct yourself during an interview. They also do recruitment fairs. Those were suspended during COVID, but with all of the COVID restrictions, being taken out, we're hoping that we'll be having more of those kind of recruitment fairs on campus that allow employers come in to poach students and, speak to students and be able to offer them jobs when they graduate. There is also the Going Global. It's an online resource with over 16 million graduate jobs. And that's a lot of jobs for you to choose from. And there is also you having access to this service up to 5 years after you graduate. And then there is also the introduction of the graduate route immigration. The graduate immigration route information sessions that they have from time to time within the university as you study. So it will be nice for you to intimate yourself with this team, the Careers and Employability team at the university, because they are constantly always having one thing or the other for students on campus. So to the tuition fees, now the tuition fees range from about £16,000 to as high as £18,000. And that is dependent on the course that you're studying. So if you are studying a lab-based course, which is most of the time found within the Faculty of Science and Technology, understandably, the tuition fees will be higher than if you were doing a classroom-based course, like courses within the Faculty of Business and Law and Creative and Cultural Technologies. You would also be expected to pay a £3,500 tuition deposit when you have been made an offer. I will dwell in that in the next 1 or 2 slides, but it's important that you bear this in mind when you are thinking of studying, so you have an idea of what the tuition fees will be for the course you have chosen. All of these courses, all of these tuition fees will be stated explicitly on the website when you look at the course webpage for the course you might have chosen to study at the university. Now, we offer discounts at the University of Portsmouth, and there are 4 of them. So we've got the Chancellor's Global Academic Merit Scholarship, which is worth £5,000. This scholarship is available to students who have obtained the first class at their undergraduate study or a very high 2-1 with a CGP of a minimum of 4.0/5. Now, this is not automatic, but it is strongly advised that if you have obtained a first class and you are looking to study at the University of Portsmouth, you go ahead and apply for this scholarship. There is a link that leads you to that page where you can fill in your details. There is a scholarship team within the university that will now make a decision as to whether the scholarship will be handed over to you or not. But most of the time they are. You just need to apply for that particular scholarship. The second one is the Vice Chancellor's Global Development Scholarship, which is worth £2,000. This one is automatic. You don't have to do anything to apply. Once you are a student from West Africa, you are entitled to this scholarship. Now, most of the time, it should be stated on your offer letter when you are made an offer. But in some cases, they omit it, not intentionally, but because it is not open to every region. And depending on the admissions officer who handled the application, they sometimes forget to include it. But it's important that you know that this discount is available to you. And it will be clearly stated on your CAS if they do forget to put it on your offer letter. These scholarships are only valid in the first year. So if your postgraduate course is for 1 year, that's all well and good. But in some cases where your postgraduate studies for 2 years, like in the case of social work, the discount would only apply to the first year. And that also applies to undergraduate students. The discount is only for the first year of your study. Then there is the alumni discount, which is worth 20% off the tuition fees. If you have studied a course at the university, whether it was via distance learning, part-time or full-time, if you are coming to study another course and you have been made an offer for another course, you are entitled to 20% off the tuition fees. The final one is a specialized scholarship that has been designed by the Faculty of Science and Health within the School of Geology, Geography, and the Environment. They call them the SEG. They offer as much as 50% off your tuition fees if you have obtained a first class or a 2-1 at the undergraduate and you're seeking to come study a course within that school. So within that school, they have some specialized courses. So they've got courses in geographical information systems, crisis and disaster management, courses in geographical hazards and geology. All the courses within that school, should you have obtained the first class or very high 2-1, you're eligible to apply. It's not automatic for this 50% discount. And if you are shortlisted, you get 50% off your tuition fees for either of the courses within that school. Now, what do you do when you have been made an offer? So you have gone ahead to apply, you've uploaded all your documents, you have been made a conditional offer. The first thing you do is to read your offer letter and understand what the conditions are. So they would list out those conditions, and some of them might be that you provide your degree certificate if you had not at the time of the application, provide references if you had not provided references, provide an evidence of English language proficiency if you have not provided that. And that would include an IELTS test or your WAEC or your NECO or any of your high school certificates that show that you've obtained a C grade or higher in English. You would also be expected to complete an eligibility questionnaire, which is called the UKVI eligibility questionnaire. Now, sometimes students don't find that in the body of their offer letter, but I promise you is in there. Just have a look and complete that questionnaire. There's usually a link that you're supposed to complete. And then finally, you're expected to pay your deposit, which is the £3,500. Once you have completed all of the conditions listed, your offer will then be made unconditional, and you will then be issued your CAS standing for Certificate of Acceptance for Studies. It is when you have then obtained your CAS that you can now apply for your visa. Now, it's important I state here that between the time when your offer has been made conditional, when you're waiting for the issuance of your CAS, you should start to put things in place. And by putting things in place, I mean doing your tuberculosis test. Students progressing from West Africa are compelled to do a tuberculosis test and obtain a tuberculosis test certificate. This certificate is valid for 6 months. So between the time you're waiting to obtain your CAS, because it's only when you've obtained your CAS that you can apply for your visa, around about that time, how about you go ahead and do your tuberculosis test? Also, around about that time, you should start to put your funds in place in your account for a successful visa application. Now, to the funds that you need to show, because I get students a lot saying, oh, my offer has been conditional for a very long time. I've fulfilled all the conditions. They haven't made me an unconditional offer. I haven't been issued my CAS, and they get really agitated and anxious about it. And then, I allay their concerns. They eventually get their CAS. And I'm thinking, I'm sure the very next day or two, you're applying for your visa. And I don't see them making that move. And so I reach out and I'm wondering why. And they say, oh, I don't have the funds in place yet. So I'm wondering, why were you now in a hurry to get your CAS? Because once you get your CAS, you should typically be applying for your visa. Now, the funds I'm talking about is the funding for your studies. So I'm going to explain this and break it down as much as possible with figures. So let's assume your tuition fee for your course is £16,000. That's what is on the website. You apply, you're made an offer, you automatically get the £2,000 automatic discount. It reduces your tuition fees to £14,000. So that's what your tuition fees will be. You go ahead to pay the £3,500. And so you are then left with, when you do 14,000 minus 3,500, you're left with about £10,500. Now, you are expected to show that you have got the balance of your tuition fees, which in this case will be £10,500 plus your living expenses, which is £9,207. This living expenses has been stipulated by the United Kingdom Visa Immigrations. The university has no hand in it. And every university outside of the City of London is expected to inform their students that they need to show these funds. So the combination of the total cost of the balance of your tuition fees plus your living expenses is what you should have in your account or your parents' account, not your husband or your wife or your auntie or your uncle or your brother or your sister, but in your account or your parents' account for a minimum duration of 28 days before you can apply. Now, these funds can either be in a pounds account or in a Naira account if it's in Nigeria, CDs account if it's in Ghana, and all the other currencies in those accounts using an exchange rate called Rwanda. So when you've got these funds in place for a minimum duration of 28 days, and the bank statement is set to mature after 28 days, you're expected to print out the bank statement and then go ahead to submit your visa application in combination with the rest of the other documents listed. It's important also that you note that upon your arrival at school, so during your enrollment and your registration, you should have typically paid 50% of your tuition fees. And so in a case where your tuition fees are £14,000, half of 14,000 will be 7,000. you have gone ahead to pay 3,500 as part of your tuition deposit. When you are arriving at school, starting your process of your registration and enrollment, you're expected to have paid the balance of your tuition fees to make up 50%, which in this case will be 3,500. So what some students do is, instead of paying 3,500, they go ahead to pay 50% of their tuition fees. That's entirely their choice. If you decide to go that route, that's wonderful. If you decide you want to do the 3,500 and then pay the balance when you arrive school, please note that you will not be allowed to enroll and register for your course if you have not paid up to 50% in total of your tuition fees. I hope this is clear. I'll be happy to take that again if you need me to during the Q&A, the chat. You can just pop that into the chat and I'll take that again. Okay, now this is an issue I get students asking me a lot of questions on accommodation. Now, when you have been made an offer, it's important that you constantly check your mails. I know that you'll be inundated with a lot of information, but I promise you that these information are relevant. And one of them is accommodation. Students tend to leave that till the very last minute, and that's not advisable. So once you have been made an offer and you have gone ahead to accept the offer, the admissions team start to send you information on how to apply for university accommodation. Now, if for any reason you don't want to go with the university accommodation, they would also be happy to point you in the right direction as to how to apply for external accommodation. Now, I get students asking me a lot, I'm trying to get accommodation, how can you assist? Unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do because it is not part of what my job description is. And I always refer them to the accommodations team. I will advise that once you have been made an offer and you are absolutely keen on progressing to the University of Portsmouth, please do not leave the accommodation bit to the very last minute. Start to engage. If you're looking to stay on campus, once they send you that information on that, go ahead and apply. You will not be expected to make any commitment until much later, but you'll be expected to book for an accommodation and then pay for your accommodation booking at a later date. But if you leave it till the very last minute, chances are that that booking opening would have been closed. You will not have been able to have booked an accommodation. And at the time when you are now ready, which sometimes is when you're boarding your flight, it will be a bit too late for you to then start to sort out your accommodation. So please start that engagement with the accommodation team as soon as you're made an offer and you are certain that you're progressing to the university for that particular intake. Lots of the halls are within working distance of the main university buildings. The prices range from about £100 a week to as high as 180, and that is dependent on what kind of accommodation you're looking for. Is it shared? Is it just you? Would you like to share a bathroom? Would you like to have all that to yourself? All of those will impact on the overall fee, accommodation fee that you will be paying. There are also private accommodations available, like I mentioned, and the accommodations team will be happy to send you links as to how to progress with this. I know that is a lot easier when you are on campus and have arrived, but at least initiate the conversation and start the process. So it's not like you are starting the process when you now ultimately arrive school. Support is usually provided for first-year students who need self-isolation, but that was before, when COVID was happening. Right now, everything is back in place. So please engage as soon as possible with the accommodations team once you have made the firm choice to progress to the University of Portsmouth for the intake you have applied for. Now, what kind of support would you get? We've got the airport pickup, and that's very helpful for students who are arriving to university for the very first time. Even arriving to the UK for the very first time. Like I said, once you're made an offer, they start to send you mails, and one of those emails will be for you to decide if you would like the airport pickup option. So they will give you dates that you should let them know when you think you'll be arriving in the UK. Now, I know that it's hard sometimes to pick a date, especially when you have not got your visa and you have not booked your ticket. But I would advise that you pick a date, and if it changes, go ahead and let them know that plans have changed and this is the new date. It's important that you arrange this service, especially if you're new in the city, because it just makes your transportation from the airport to the university seamless. If you do not want the option because you know your way around, that's fine. But if you do need that option, please engage with them when they reach out, because Do not expect that if you do not engage, there'll be someone waiting for you at the airport. There won't be anyone waiting for you because they don't have your details. So it's important that once you decide that you are progressing, you have then applied for your visa, they have reached out to you for the airport service, you pick a date. If the plans change and you need to change your date within that time frame, please let them know and they'll be happy to amend the date. Other supports that you would get will be the international student advisors. There is a team within the global office that are happy to talk to you in person when you arrive or even via email when you're still trying to get to the university. There are global offices like myself, officers like myself who cover various regions and are happy to assist you and advise you. There is also organizations and teams in place for financial advice. There is the university surgery, which takes care of your medical and your dental checks. And this is your right because you have paid for the NHS fee when you are applying for your visa. So please avail yourself of all of these supports that are available. There is also the career support and guidance team, the employability team that are able to advise you regarding the post-study work, graduate immigration route, and all of those. And it's important that you know that as an international student, you are entitled to a personal tutor. And so the process of studying from my region, where I'm from, as against when you arrive at the UK, is completely different, and it can be a bit overwhelming. And that's why these support groups are in place. I know West Africans to be, we want to do things ourselves. We are independent. We think we have it all together. It's a lovely thing to be independent, but it's also amazing if you reach out, if you are struggling, because until you reach out, no one is going to know what challenges you are facing. And there are structures and people in place to assist you as best as possible. So please avail yourself of these various support systems and groups that have been put in place, particularly for international students. There are lots of clubs and societies. So there are so many extracurricular activities that if you're not careful, you can get, swamped in all of them and then allow your academics suffer. So please don't do that. But these are what you can do. There is the Nigerian Society, there is the Afro-Caribbean Society, there is the athletics club, there's football, all sorts of activities available for international students, open to international students. So there is never a dull moment at the university. So avail yourself of these clubs and societies. I have then come to the end of my presentation. These are our contacts. So we are available to speak with you via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're also on YouTube. Below is the global email address, and just beneath it is mine, and also my WhatsApp details. So feel free to please contact me should you have any, questions, queries, anything you'd like to talk to me about after this presentation. So from myself, and I guess Chidera, we all look forward to welcoming you to the University of Portsmouth. I see there are quite a number of questions at the Q&A. So I don't know if you'd like to say anything, Chidera. Otherwise, I will just go straight into the Q&A session.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Chinelo. That was very detailed. The only thing I want to say is, yeah, definitely, if you're in the Telegram group that I created, I'm going to share the form of the IARA stuff that Ms. Chinelo mentioned, so you can submit it alongside your application. So yeah, thank you. That's all.
Okay, so I'm just going to go straight into, I think I'll do the charts. So I'm going to the very first one. 1 minute. Okay, someone is asking, I think this is the very first, I just don't want to miss.
I posted a few questions that were already asked before in the group. I don't think some of them are here. So I could read out the question, because I think I'm the first to start asking the questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so the first question, I submitted my application since the 14th of January. It's been over 3 weeks, no response from UOP. I'm getting anxious. Do I email or what should I do?
Okay, so 3 weeks will mean 15 working days. So there's really nothing to be concerned or anxious about. Like I said, when I was talking in one of the slides, it usually takes the admissions team 20 to 30 working days to make a decision on an application. But just so to allay your concerns, if you can provide me with your student ID number I can take a look and see where we are with the application.
Okay.
Chances are that there really isn't anything. It's just in queue and will be dealt with. But it will be just nice for me to take a look in case there is a document pending or there is some information that was passed across to you that you somehow missed. I'll be happy to share whatever information I can get out of looking at your application. But overall, please don't be anxious. We're not at the 30th working day yet. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. I think you've also answered the second question. It says, does the university offer April, May, or June? I think you said is January, February, September.
Okay, so so I'm glad that question came about, and I'm happy to answer it again. Most of all of our courses, all of the courses available for postgraduate students is open in September. We, however, have a handful of courses available in February, and those courses available in February are beginning to increase, because at first it was just 10 courses we had available for February, but we have constantly been increasing that until, I mean, the last intake, which was just a few months ago, this February, we had over 25 courses available for postgraduate students. So we have the bulk of our courses, all of our courses available in September, and a good number available also for February. For the pre-masters, so pre-masters will be for students who have not met the minimum entry requirements to progress onto the full master's program. We've got what we call the pre-masters program, which is abbreviated as called the PMP. That one is available 3 intakes in a year. So what that means is we've got the January, June, and September, and it usually runs for 3 to 4 months. So if, for example, you're looking to apply for a course and you haven't met the minimum entry requirements, and you put in this application sometime in May, and we refer you to the pre-master's route, we will make you an offer for June. You will complete the pre-master's route by August, and by September in time to start off your course, your full master's degree program. If that course is available in January as well, we can actually make you an offer in September. You complete that in December and start off in January. If you take up that course, the pre-master's route in June, and you want to start off the course in January, you can actually finish the course in September, have the rest of the 2 or 3 months to get a job, do your 20 hours a week, limitless hours, whilst waiting for the course to start up proper in January. So with the pre-master's route, there are 3 intakes. With the full master's program, there are 2 intakes. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you. The third question, I think this has also been answered. Can a HND holder with lower credits, right, apply to the University of Portsmouth? I think this would mean the pre-masters, right, Ms. Chinelu?
No, I'm glad they asked this question, because when I completed on this presentation, I thought I didn't stress on HND. So I'm glad this person has asked this question. Now, unfortunately, at the University of Portsmouth, currently, we do not have a pre-master's route for HNDs. So if you have an HND and you have relevant years of work experience, we will not be able to take you onto the pre-master's route. What we are able to do in rare cases is offer you a direct master's, and this is in very rare cases. And this rare case might be in a case, where the student had graduated years ago. On their CV, they have a managerial capacity. They've been on this managerial capacity for a very long time. And based on what they have written in their personal statement and their CV, the admissions tutor thinks this student is able to come straight onto the master's. It's in a very rare circumstance. We're happy to do that. I mean, the admissions team will be happy to do that. What is more common, however, is we being able to convert your HND to a bachelor's. So if you have got an HND, we will not be able to offer you a pre-master's. What we'll be able to offer you is what we call a credit entry top-up. So we are able to convert your HND to a bachelor's degree. Now, in most cases, we are able to offer you a year 2. And that might sound disappointing to a lot of people, but that's what we're able to do. We can in some...
So is it year 2 to bachelor's degree?
Year 2 bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Okay. Or the final year bachelor's degree. So you do like 1 year of a bachelor's degree and convert your HND to a bachelor's. So those are the options we have available. The very common option is offering you a year 2, because quite a number of times these HND graduates have a second lower. And so we make them a year 2. In rare cases where they have a distinction, we will be happy to offer them a final year. And then in super rare cases where they've got a 10 to 15 to 20 years work experience. And, in some cases, these people have handled a lot of managerial roles, but then now want to have a master's degree, to add to their resume. Based on what they have achieved in their CV and their personal statement, the admissions tutor can just make a call and say, you know what, make the call and give them a master's admission straight away.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. The next question says, I want to find out if the University of Portsmouth offers a scholarship. I think yes, we went through the scholarship offered. And then the fees for business analytics. I think this will be on the website for business analytics.
But it's important I see, and that I'm also very happy at this question. So this course, this student has said is business analytics. We call it data analytics. So if you go looking at the website, you will not find business analytics. And so if you visit the website with an open mind and type in analytics, data analytics will come out. So you have a look at the course modules and see if it takes care of what you're hoping to achieve. And then go on for the course, go on to apply to the course without minding that it's not bearing the name that you're used to. Now, for the issue of the scholarship, I've mentioned that there is the automatic one, which is of £2,000. There is the merit-based one, if you have achieved the first class, which is worth £5,000. So those are the 2 scholarships available for your course of study.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Someone said, I've already applied, but yet again offer. So my question is, how much is the initial deposit? I think that's £3,500.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Then what's the installment payment plan?
Right. Good. So can I answer that one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the installment plan is 50% of your tuition fees upon enrollment and registration. And then the second 50% at the commencement of the second semester. However, by the time you are paying for your second installment tuition fees, you are then now a student and you can work out a payment plan with the income team. But that's not to say you break it down into 10 installments. No, you can break it down into 2 installments, 3 installments, as long as you communicate effectively with the income team, provide them with dates as to when you can make this payment and honor your part of the bargain. So if you are thinking of paying your second installment in 2 tranches, so you want to pay the first installment at the commencement of your second semester and then maybe the second one at the middle, let them know in communication via email, letting them know what dates they should expect this payment. And when they respond to you saying it's okay for you to go ahead, please honor your own side of the contract. So those are the options available for installment payment plan here.
All right, thank you. Does the university offer conduct interviews before issuing CAS, and do they request for proof of funds before issuing CAS? So interviews before CAS, POF before CAS is a requirement.
Okay. All right. I'm really glad at these questions because it really shows we had an attentive audience.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, we will not conduct an interview before issuing CAS. However, if you recall, when I was doing my presentation, I mentioned a UK VI questionnaire with a link underneath it. You expected to complete that. Now that questionnaire would include, would expect you to include your details. So your name, your full name, your passport number, if you have applied for a visa in the UK before, if you have been refused a visa before, on what grounds you were refused a visa. They would also expect you to attach your visa refusal letters if you have been issued a visa refusal before. Now, all of these are what they will then take away and do their checks. And so sometimes you find that students complete this eligibility questionnaire, and in less than 48 hours, the team comes back to say you have passed the questionnaire. In some cases, it takes them as much as 2 to 3 weeks, and you don't hear back from them. They are conducting their checks. So once they have conducted their checks and you're good to go, they will come back to say you have passed that condition, and they would remove it from your offer. So it's not like a physical interview. I know that some universities conduct a physical interview before they issue cards. We don't do that yet at the University of Portsmouth. It looks like what we might do in the future, and this is because of the astronomical number of students we are now receiving in terms of application. Because what I find that what the interview does is kind of makes it easier for you to sift out the students who are credible and the ones who are not. But currently within the University of Portsmouth, we're not doing that. Now, for the proof of funds, we will not require you to show us your proof of funds. We would expect that you know the amount of funds that you should have, because I would have been in communication with you anyway. We try very hard to keep the communication lines open. Where we would request a proof of funds is if you have been refused a visa on the premise, refused a visa previously on the premise of lack of maintenance or inadequate proof of funds. So if, for example, you've applied to a university before, or even to the University of Portsmouth, and you were refused a visa because your proof of funds was not enough or it was inadequate, when we are now issuing you another CAS, we will not issue you another CAS until you submit your bank statement and we see that you indeed have enough proof of funds. So if you are just coming in fresh, you've never had a visa refusal on any basis whatsoever, particularly with a proof of funds, we will not require to see your proof of funds. But if you have had a visa refused on that basis, we would require to see your proof of funds. Now, it's also important. I say this a lot, and the reason I say it is because we never really know the situation we find ourselves until we're in those, in those situations. It's not palatable for you to get a visa refusal. It's not at all. It can be overwhelming for the students, and it can count against us as a university to recruit in that region. The UKVI are that strict. And so it's important that when you are submitting your documents, ensure that they are genuine, ensure that these documents you are providing check out. I've got a student who has just only recently been issued a 10-year ban because his proof of funds were not genuine. So make sure that your proof of funds are genuine. And when they are genuine, make sure that it is the amount, the exact amount that is required of you to provide that you have provided. I've got a student, for example, who was refused a visa because his proof of funds was £100 short. I'm sure if he had to do it again, he will not want to go through the trouble he's going through now of reapplying all over again, paying his visa application fees all over again, all because there was a shortfall of £100 in his bank statement. So please do the calculations accurately. If you're not sure, I'm happy to assist you, ensure that your bank statements are adequate, the funds you have in place at the required amount, so we don't have unnecessary surprises and disappointments with visa refusals because of a lack of the required amount of proof of funds.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Chinelo. So another question here, he said he was given MSc for September, and then he pasted the message he got, like the condition he's to meet before he gets an unconditional offer. So the question is, he was requested to submit a minimum of an IELTS with band 6.5. So he's like, can he replace that with his C6 in his WAEC?
Yes, you can. But in providing the admissions team with that result, you would also need to provide them with scratch card details to authenticate the result. I get students saying, but I've submitted the original certificate. Why do I still need to show them scratch cards? They need to verify and authenticate that result in order to confidently remove that condition, because you have to also remember that in removing that condition, they are telling the UKVI confidently that they have done their checks and this student got this grade. So please indulge them by providing them with not just your WAEC results, but also scratch card details to verify and authenticate the result. Now, if you can provide me with your student ID number, I can send you an email that breaks down this condition, because if you see where they have the completion of the UK Student Rules Eligibility Assessment, there is no link as to where you can access that. It is somewhere hidden in the body of your offer letter, and you have to take a close look to find it. If you found it, that's wonderful. But if you're struggling to find where it is, I'll be happy to point you in that direction. So yes, we're happy to accept your WAEC result in lieu of,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Someone asked for your contact details. I think we'll share that. I'll put that in the chat. Then the next question is, I studied accounting. Can I only study masters in that field, or can I apply for other courses?
So you'll need to be more explicit when you say other courses, because it's easier for you to apply for a master's on the basis of what you studied as an undergraduate. But that's not to say that you're not able to apply for other courses. So if, for example, you studied accounting and you're looking to do accounting and data analytics, or just core data analytics, and you're able to show in your personal statement why you're opting for this change of course, and you're also able to show us in your CV that you have a bit of IT background in the area of managing data and all, we'll be happy to make you an offer. But where there might be a problem is if you are then applying for a course that is that is unrelated with your first degree, unrelated with what it is you're trying to do. The admissions tutor cannot verify that you know exactly what this course is about, or you have a thorough knowledge of what this course is about. That's where there might be a bit of a challenge with your application. So I'm not saying that when you apply, they're not going to have a look at it, but chances are that they might not be able to readily make you an offer if you're not able to show evidence that you know exactly what this new course is about and what you have done to merit you being made an offer for that course.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a question from Linian. She said, once the pre-masters is done, are we eligible to work full-time? That is, I think she means if there's a break between pre-masters and actually starting the course. So when she's done with the pre-masters, pending starting the course start date, is she allowed to work full-time?
My clear answer to this is yes, but I will need to verify because the rules are constantly changing, you know. I do know that a few years ago, yes, it was possible to. And there were some students who went ahead and worked. Some even went ahead and did short-term courses because they had time in their hands. But I don't know. As we speak now, what I can tell you is a yes, but it's subject to verification. So please don't take my answer to the bank.
Yes.
If you can contact me later, I could then message the relevant team and find out if it's possible and feed that information back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So the next question is, this person is asking about the replacement course you said for business analytics. I think it was data analytics that you said it is on the website. Data analytics. Yeah, so that's what it is. Then the next one is, when is the application deadline for September intake, please?
Okay, so I don't have a date for all of the courses. I do have a date for social work, and that will be in April. I think towards the end of March, April, because I mean, before post-study work and all the numbers of applications we're receiving, which has tripled, that particular course used to close pretty early because of the application process. With the social work, for example, after applying, you're still subject to an interview before you are then made an offer. So all of this process, they want to complete it on time so that the students can have adequate time to sort themselves out and get everything in place. With the rest of the other courses, my advice is get it done sooner rather than later. When students ask me, when is the deadline? I wonder if they are asking me because they don't have their documents or they just want to leave it till the very last minute. So if you have your documents, my advice is that you apply ASAP, because we might come back to you and say the deadline is June. But by then, certain courses would have closed. We would have attained the number of applications we're looking for certain courses and would have closed out that application, even if the rest of the other courses are open. So if you've got your documents in place, please go ahead and apply now. It might be, from previous years, it might be that it might be June. Sometimes we extend it to the middle of July. But right now, we don't have a date yet. But what I will say to you is apply as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Chinelo. You've been very gracious with your time, but I think we would need to probably wrap up in like 6 minutes or less. So I'll just go through the next questions quickly. This person says, okay, the next two questions are about how long does it take to get a CAS and how long does it take to get an unconditional offer?
Okay, so getting a CAS, like I said, once you have made a conditional offer and you fulfill all the conditions, so we do all our checks with your eligibility questionnaire, everything you have sent us through, we check them out, we make you an unconditional offer. Once we issue you with an unconditional offer and we send you a letter to that effect, in the next 48 to 72 hours, we will issue you a CAS. So the delay usually is from moving from conditional to unconditional. Once you are made unconditional, the next 48 to 72 hours, we issue your CAS.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. The next question, I think we've answered one about WASI results. We spoke about the voucher card. Then Joy said, I studied linguistic and mass communication, second class upper. Can I apply for pre-registration nursing?
Unfortunately, our nursing program is not open to international students. So we are currently not recruiting for nursing. It's not open to international students as we speak.
All right. I think those are all the questions. Yes, those are all the questions, please. Yes, those are all the questions. Thank you so much. Oh, someone is asking for the Telegram link. You're not, I have to try and pull it out. I'll paste it in the chat. I'll paste that in the chat. Yeah. So, Ms. Chinelo, any other thing you want to say?
Yeah, someone was asking for my details, so I'm just going to put that in now. I'm just going to type that in. So just feel free to make contact. So this is my email and this is my phone number. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and also the Telegram group for those who want to apply. So basically prospects, like as you're here, I know you're considering applying to the University of Portsmouth, so you could join the group, just so we're all in the same place and get like support. And I can
funny, I'm actually seeing some familiar names.
Oh,
yeah, I am.
Nice. Okay. All right then. Thank you so much, Miss Chinelo. This has been super helpful. Hopefully we get the recording right.
Yes, you will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thing from you? Okay.
No, nothing else. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to me. Like I said, if there was anything I said you didn't quite understand, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to clarify whatever information you require.
Yeah, so, and also, okay, sorry. No, and also please, let's not forget to upload the form. So the form will be in the Telegram group and you just fill it and submit it alongside your application or send it to Ms. Chinelo if you've already submitted
in a case where, in case you were not able to upload that at the time of, because sometimes I find it difficult to upload it because they don't know where to put it with the rest of their documents. Just feel free to send it across to me. Make sure that you complete it appropriately. Put in your name and your student ID number and the referral, in this case, Chidera's information. And we'll be happy to.
I'll put it, I'll put it in the PDF file and just share it so it's already there. Get it there. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, everybody.
You too. Everyone take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.